Welcome, everybody. It's day 23 of the video a day Debruary. Counting down 5 more days to go, and then we're done. I'm going to kind of miss that intro music because every time the music's playing, I'm kind of like, yeah, this is getting it. This is all right. So I may have to use this tune on something else. But anyway, today we welcome one of my favorite guests. I've been interviewing this guy since I was on Blog Talk Radio when his first book came out years ago. So I think it's about our sixth, maybe fifth, sixth, seventh interview. I lose track. But this is Elliott Katz. He's the author of the book Being the Strong Man a Woman Wants, Timeless Wisdom on Being a Man. That's what we've interviewed him on before. The book was translated into I don't know how many dozens of languages, and it's been a long time bestseller. But we're going to be discussing his latest work, which is new. It's titled How to Get Your Man to Wear the Pants So You Don't Have to. Basically, it's a guide for women on how we can motivate and inspire the men in our lives to step up, take responsibility, be more of a leader so that we don't have to be in those positions ourselves. You can have a man that you can depend on and admire and respect instead of one that you have to feel like you have to hold his hand and take care of him like a child. So join me in welcoming Elliott to Debruary 2022. Hey, guy.
Great to be here.
Oh, always, always. Now, let me see. I wanted to show everyone this is the cover of his new book. So you can get an idea what to look for. You go on Amazon. Okay, there we go. Forgot I did that. But anyway, so Elliot, you know, the other book has been so popular for so long. What made you take it to the next level to write another book addressing men and how they are in relationships?
Well, it's a great question because it was because of that first book, Being the Strong Man a Woman Wants. That book wasn't only popular with men, it was popular with women. And a lot of women said to me, my husband doesn't wear the pants, he doesn't take charge, he doesn't make decisions, he doesn't take the lead on anything. What can I do to get him to wear the pants? So this new book, How to Get Your Man to Wear the Pants, is a response to that question. That's why I wrote the book, because I think there's a lot of really the underlying message. A lot of men will say to me, their wives complain, "Oh, I want you to be a man. I want you to start acting like a man. You're not being a man," and really they haven't got a clue what she means. So
Yeah.
that's why I wrote this book about how women can communicate to their husbands on what really they want them to do, and in a positive, inspiring, motivating way.
So tell us now, for the purposes of this discussion, because we've all heard this phrase. When you talk about wearing the pants, what exactly do you mean?
Okay, that's a good question because some people have a negative interpretation of it. It's
Exactly.
really about a man who can make a decision, who doesn't always say whatever you want, you decide. It's a man who'll say there's a situation, he'll say I'll handle it, and he steps forward and he handles it. He's a man with a plan. He doesn't always expect you to plan everything. He's a man that makes a woman feel safe and protected because she knows he can step forward and handle everything, and she doesn't always have to tell him what to do. I've had several women say to me, I was just talking to a woman who had been married 30 years, and she said, my husband was like a 5-year-old. I always had to tell him what to do. So I'm trying to tell these men, you know, when you think you're being this non-controlling nice guy to a woman, she thinks you're acting like a child, and she doesn't want to be your mother.
Right. And that's the thing they don't seem to understand, because then they start to complain that there's, not much going on in other areas of the house. And you know what I mean? I'm trying to be delicate. But it's like, dude, if you're not acting like a take charge, responsible adult, and she has to treat you like you're one of her kids, that's a turn off. That's a turn off. And no woman wants to get busy with you when she sees you in her mind as a child, one of her
Oh,
little, infants.
Deb,
That doesn't work.
you are so right. I've told that to men many times, but when she sees you as a child, that she always has to tell what to do. She doesn't want to be intimate with a child. She wants to
Right.
be intimate with a masculine man who makes her feel safe and protected.
Exactly.
The interesting thing is all the messages men have heard. This is what they hear: don't be controlling, be sensitive, and they think, well, I'll just let her run everything. I've heard lots of men. They're proud. They say, oh, I let my wife run the house. It's her job to run the house, and they think I'm being this modern, progressive, non-controlling man. Well, she's fed up with him.
Yeah, because essentially, they're just bowing out and leaving all the responsibility on her shoulders.
Absolutely,
Oh, and you
absolutely.
know what they do too, Elliot? Because I've run into this. Okay, so they think they're being so magnanimous, right? They're giving you all this, power. And so then, as soon as you do something, the first thing they want to do is complain about it. Well, I don't know why you decided to do that. Well, that's not how I would have done it.
Exactly. That's one of the things in my book. I tell women, accept that he may do it differently than you would be doing it, but unless it's he's doing something dangerous, accept that. Let him do it his way, and because if you criticize him or undermine him, he's just going to withdraw, and you're not going to get the kind of man you want.
Oh, it's driving me crazy. So,
I,
ladies, we're going to be taking some questions for Elliot in a little bit. Give me a little time, though, to lay some foundation here. Here's the link that if you want to ask the question on the air, you click that. You can use your headphones and ask him, right here on audio, or you can type your question in the chat room and I'll display it across the screen. Okay, so either one, but give us a few minutes. Okay, so this is something that my moderator wanted to know. After reading the draft you sent us over, does there have to be a leader in the relationship?
well, that's a good question. A lot
Yeah,
of
I thought it was a good one too.
yeah, that's a good question, but I think yes, there has to be. I mean, it's not that you're a controlling dictator, tyrant who's telling your spouse everything to do, but there was a situation. What is leadership? It's figuring out, it's thinking, planning, organizing. Taking charge of dealing with a situation. That's work. It's so many men, and I talk about this in the book. So many men, and I've heard so. I mean, I've talked to a lot of. This is such a common situation. They work hard at their jobs. They come home, and they ask their wives, "What should I do? Just tell me what to do. I'll do it." And they do housework. They look after the kids. They all do all this stuff, and they can't understand why the wife is fed up with him because they want him to do more than that. All the thinking and the planning and the strategies and dealing with situation, dealing with problems. It's hard work. She doesn't want you, and she feels you're leaving it all to her, and she resents that. So yes, I mean, yes, somebody has to take the lead on dealing with challenges and taking charge. It's a positive thing. There's nothing wrong. I mean, it's not. See, that's what you get people saying. Oh, I don't want to be controlling. Nobody wants a controlling tyrant, but take the lead on dealing with a problem.
I think that's what, because the guys come in, right? And so they just what you said, well, just tell me what you want. Okay, but see, for me to tell you that, that means I have to observe the problem, assess create the solution, then tell you what the solution is, and then supervise you doing the solution. When by the time I do all that, that could have done it myself, and which I think a lot of them are banking on. It's like you walk into the house and you see the kids. You got little infants, little toddlers, whatever, they got toys all over the place. Why do you need me to tell you to pick them up?
Exactly, exactly. I say this in my book. When a man does that, when he just comes home and does whatever his wife tells him to do, that's not being a father or a husband. That's being a mother's helper. That's what you. No, that's exactly you. Women will hire a person to say, "Here, help me with this.
Right.
Do the ironing, do the laundry, do this." Okay, that's a mother's helper. But
Yeah,
you're
the
the
high school.
husband. You're
I
the
did that when I was
father.
in high school.
Exactly. You're the husband. You're the father. Your job is to see what's going on. You see a situation, handle it. Like, don't leave it all to her. And like, say, hey, I'll handle it. You come home, you see a situation with the kids, or something's broken or something. You say, don't just say handle it. And you think, that's you think you're being this nice guy. Take charge. Find a solution. Do some research. You know, implement it. Take charge. Your wife will love you for it because it makes her feel safe and protected. She doesn't want to have
Exactly.
to deal with everything.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure, and it's like you're already dealing with your little brat kids, and then you have to deal with supervising a husband like he's another child. It's just not fun. We
And the
say, yeah,
irony,
around here we say that's not sexy. It's not
exactly.
sexy.
And the
But
irony is that a lot of these men, they may be, have senior positions in their jobs. They're leaders at their job. They take charge. They deal with problems. The boss comes. One of the situations I talk about in the book is, at work, when there's a problem, do you ask your boss what to do? And he says, no, because that's my job. I see a problem. my job is to find a solution and implement it. And he says, well, why can't you do that here at home? And he'll say, because I want to do it your way to make you happy. And the answer is, you'll make me happy if you take charge and
Yeah,
deal
just
with
do
it
something. Do
and,
something.
and do something. Exactly. Don't just leave it all to her. But the problem is, a lot of men have been told, don't be controlling. They really think, I'll just leave it to her. And I'm showing I'm this nice, non-controlling guy. And they don't understand when when she's fed up because really I've heard so many men they say I can't understand it. I do so much. Like I said, whenever I come home, I just do whatever she says, and she's not happy.
Let's
And I
switch
explain to
gears a
them
little
why.
bit because most of the people here are single. And I mean, they might have been married, but they're not anymore. So, they're they're single, and then some of them have never been married yet. So, dating is a big part, a component of what goes on here, the problems with that. One of the things that comes up repeatedly is that, so the guy says, oh, yeah, let's go out. So the girl's like, okay, yeah. And so he's like, okay, I'll pick you up at 7 on Saturday. Great, bam. So he drives up, she jumps in the car, and then, she's sitting there, and the words of death come from his lips. What do you want to do?
Oh yes, I know. What do you want to do? Or she, or it could be she. He asks her out. Would you like to go out Saturday night? And she says yes. What did you have in mind? And he says, I don't know. What do you want to do? And he
Yeah.
thinks he's being this nice, controlling, nice guy. And really, I tell these guys, be a man with a plan. Think about something. You know this woman a little bit. You've gone out with her before, or you've met her. Think about something that you would both enjoy doing. Do some research. Look up the entertainment listings. Think just and suggest it to her. You know, a few years ago, I was going with a woman who said to me, "You date well. What are you doing?" And I thought she was making fun of me. And I said to her, "Are you making fun of me?" And she said, "No, no, you're a good dater. What are you doing?" So I said, I'll tell you what I'm doing. And it's very intentional. You notice whenever I ask you out, I have a plan to suggest. It doesn't mean if you have something else you'd prefer doing, we can do that. But I never say, I don't know. I don't have a clue. I and because it reflects, if a man can't even plan where to go for a cup of coffee, how is he going to deal with the challenges of marriage and family life? It's a big, big turnoff. And men don't realize that. They really think, oh, I'll let her decide. I'll show her I'm non controlling. Oh,
I think that's, I mean, they may think that. I'm not saying that they don't, but on our side, what that comes across as is you're a lazy bum. You don't want to do any work. So you try to put frosting on it and make it look like you're doing us a favor. In reality, you're just dumping on your woman and just putting all the burden of all that decision making and analysis and research and everything else on her shoulders. I just can't stand it. Drives me
no,
nuts.
you see, they tell themselves, oh, I'm being non controlling. But they'll admit, yeah, it's easier. Let her
Yeah.
do it. It's easier. But she wants a man who can, and like I said, it reflects how will you handle problems in a marriage. You can't even choose a place for a cup of coffee. You can't even choose it. And you can finally go to a place you can't even choose a table to sit at. Be a man with a plan. But it's like, but men just haven't heard this. Like they just think, but I'm being such a good guy. I remember being interviewed by a newspaper reporter about the first book, and he says to me, "Oh, I just told my girlfriend make some plans for the weekend." I said, "Well, maybe you should make the plans and call her back." It's
At least switch off so that everybody gets, what they want or something. I mean, we could take turns, that works too. But don't just do it all the time or just leave every single thing
right, right.
to her. I mean, that's just not right. That's just not fair. So, Elliot, you just said something interesting, that these guys don't know. How come they don't know? I mean, what's happening? Where's the
Well,
gap?
a lot of men, young men today didn't have, healthy male role models, strong male role models. All the divorce, you watch television, men are portrayed as buffoons. They and the media, this whole thing about toxic masculinity. Masculinity is bad thing. Well, nobody wants somebody abusive. Nobody wants somebody toxic. But that doesn't mean if you ask a woman out, plan the date. It makes what I tell guys when you plan the date, it makes her feel special that you took the time to think about what you would both enjoy. doing, it makes her feel special. It makes her feel like this is a special time. If you leave it to her to plan the date, it's like it doesn't feel special. And like it. Anyway, so I just want to say in the book, I tell women because I'm giving advice from how to get your man to plan the date. Just when he asks you out and you say, "Well, yes, what would you like to do?" and he says, "I don't know." Just say to him, "Well, I don't know either. Could you, I bet you could find something really fun to do. Could you call me back when when you look, check the entertainment
Man,
listings. Call me back when
I
you have
might
a
have
plan."
done that when I was younger, Elliot, but now I'm like, shoot, the end is, it's on the horizon there. I don't have that kind of time anymore. So if a guy says, well, I don't know, what do you want to do, this and that, he's going to be talking to Mr. Click. I'm like, look, you wasting my time. Get off my phone.
Well, I think it is possible because men really want to make women happy. You see, and the thing is, they've heard all these things, and they're not. They think they're making. So that's the whole thing. They think they're making them happy, but they're not, and they can't understand why because they've heard all these messages. Don't be controlling. So I think if a woman says, I don't have any ideas. You have. I'm sure you could come up with a good idea, and 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 just leave it at that. And come when you have an idea, pick me up.
Call me. So what about this? Okay, we're back on dating. Okay, where did they get the idea that you're going to take a woman out on the first date and you have to say, okay, well, your half is,
Oh yes, oh yes.
oh my God, that
Yeah,
happened to me exactly one time. And you know what I did? This guy took me to a barbecue restaurant in downtown Oakland. And he's like, oh, the bill came and he says, your half is. I said, I don't have a half.
well, that's
You came to my house and picked me up to bring me all the way to Oakland to this place and ordered all this meat, which, you ate 90% of it. And then you want me to pay half. That's so not going to happen. And I just told him that. I was like, we were tripping.
right, right. Well, I'll tell you, it could be even worse. I mean, I was talking to this woman. She told me she went out with this fellow, and they went out for dinner. First date, and the bill came, and she offered to pay, and he accepted. And now she says he can't understand why I won't go out with him again. Or even worse, I mean, yeah, he's a real. I know a woman. She went out on a date, and it was like it was sort of like a cafeteria style. And they came to the end, and the cashier said, "Is this one bill or two?" And he said one, and then he expected the woman to pay. And these were both lawyers. I mean, you think that he had the money to pay. So I tell men the way splitting the bill is not the way
No.
to show you believe in gender equality. It doesn't really matter what the. I've heard even men say, "Well, whoever makes the more money should pay," or what else do they say? Oh, whoever asked the person out. So I just say, you know what? Even if a woman asks you out for coffee, offer to just pay for it because you'll make her feel special. That's really what it's about. It's not about the amount of money. It's not about who makes more. Just pay for her because it will really make her feel special. And
It's supposed to be like this one guy that I know. We were talking about that, and so we were out, and then he's like, trying to act like he didn't have enough money, and so I'm like, wow, I don't know what you're gonna do, and so then because I'm just like, that doesn't have anything to do with me, and so then he said, well, that was a test to see if you were just gonna be if you would offer, and so you failed the test. I'm like, wow, yay me.
well, that's interesting.
Yeah, isn't
Uh,
that wasn't that bizarre? That was the first. That was the first for me. But
because
I'm like, I'm
I,
not bothering with you.
I've heard of the test in reverse. It's you know, whatever you go for coffee, time to pay, and the woman will take out her wallet and like as if she's willing to pay not just for herself
Right.
but for both, and she's waiting to see if you're going to insist on paying, right? So it's like I tell she's testing you. Like I know one fellow. I said, "Oh, he thought it was so nice of her that she offered to pay, but he did pay. No, he did pay, but I said
Oh, he did.
she
Okay.
was testing you to see
Right.
if you would insist on paying."
Yeah, it's surprising how many guys don't know that test.
Yeah, no, no, you know what? It's like something like that's how the messages in our society have gotten so confused. Like, why don't men know? You take a woman out, even if she suggested going out for coffee. Like, really, what's it going to cost you? $10? Like, you know, you go out for coffee and a dessert. Whatever. It's like just pay for. If you like her, pay for her.
Right.
if you like her. If you want to continue the relationship, definitely pay for her. If you
That's the
don't,
thing. I think sometimes, that communicates to the woman that, he's not really interested, well, not interested at all, that he won't even, come out of pocket for $5 for a donut and a cup of coffee.
you know what? I don't know if it's that. I think it's just what we've heard today. It's like men of the message of men here. It's like, well, women will be offended if you pay for them because you're saying, oh, as if like you're saying, oh, the woman can't earn her own money. Sure, she can, but you want it. It's not about money. It's about making her feel special. Simple things like opening the car door for her when you pick her up. I've done that many times, and I've never had a woman say to me, "You think I can't open the car door myself?" Nobody
Yeah.
says that. It makes them feel special. It shows that you care about them, right? But we're so afraid we don't want to be accused of being sexist or misogynist. So it's okay. Open the door yourself.
Well, I think, even if a woman does say that, some of these girls haven't really, the same thing in reverse. They haven't really been raised with a father who taught them those kind of genteel behaviors. And they don't know even how to position their body for a guy to help them on with their coat, or
Right,
to,
right.
sit them in a chair and help them scoot the chair. And those kind of little things have to be taught. And, we have a lot of whole generation of young people that don't know those kinds of manners.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's. I mean, that's why I wrote this book, and really, I mean, I'm talking about how to help a woman put on her coat, but just how to what to say to a man to make him realize how you want to be treated as a woman, and how to get him to take the lead and make decisions, and take charge and take responsibility. And really, it's like I was saying before. It's really like women will get frustrated and say, you're not being a man. Start being a man. Grow up. But that doesn't really communicate to the man what he needs to hear because he's really clueless. I mean, really, I've had men comment about my first book and says, I never knew this before. I never knew how about being a man and taking the lead. My girlfriend broke up with me because she said I wasn't being a man and leading. I didn't have a clue what she was talking about. It's only after reading the book. So what I'm trying to say in this new book is, talk to the man in the way that he needs to be spoken to. Don't say things. Don't say what you feel like saying because that probably won't get the response you want. You have to say, it would make me happy if I can count on you to take charge of dealing with these situations and don't just leave it all on me. It would make me happy if you would plan, if you come up with be a man with a plan. All these situations are like have a whole chapter in the book on common strategies for common situations. Things like, if you're married and you have a mother-in-law who keeps interfering, and often the husband, who's sort of the man in the middle, he just sort of like throws, doesn't know what to do.
Hmm.
He's the
Yeah.
man in the middle, and he just hopes the problem will go away by itself. So you say things to him like, don't complain about his mother. You complain, say, I think you're really good at dealing with problems. Why don't you suggest to your mother that when she has advice for us, that she give it to you, and then we can discuss it. And if it's we like to follow it, we'll follow it. If we don't, we don't. But we can show that we appreciate that. You know, their advice. Like the thing is, you're the man in the middle. Do something. Don't just like pull back and think, oh, I can't do anything about it. That's a situation I've heard so many times.
Yes.
Women are saying, my mother-in-law doesn't she doesn't seem to respect that I'm the mother of our daughter, and she just wants to give me advice. And doesn't she remember what it was like when she was a mother for the first time and everybody was giving her advice? You know what? But the man is like he's in the middle. He doesn't know what to do, but you got to inspire him, speak to him in a way that motivate him. Yeah, okay, that sounds a reasonable idea. Or another situation, very common, is a man who's divorced. He has children, and I've heard this happens a lot. Like especially with the first girlfriend he has, the children think if they could just get rid of her,
Right.
they'll get their parents back together. So they treat her really nasty, and then she's not happy. So instead of saying your kids are terrible, it's me or them. Just speak to him in a way. What does he need to hear? Just say, I think you're a good father, and your daughter wants to be close to you. you've got to teach her that she has to treat everybody respectfully, not just me. And it's important for her future. And it's also important that we're going to have a future. You got to speak to it in a way, oh, yeah, okay, you're right. I am, you know, a father will realize, hey, I'm failing in my responsibilities. Fathers are afraid if they try disciplining their kids, the kids won't come see them. But you have to make him realize he's failing his daughter as a parent. Like if he lets them, treat his girlfriend badly. So it's like, don't just say your kids are terrible. Like, send them
These
away.
brats, I can't stand your kids.
Yeah, yeah. So that's sort of like the whole approach of the book is how do you deal with these situations and what does he need to hear that will get him to say, yeah, you're right. I'm going to change that. I've never heard that before. Or another strategy I talk about is, get him to make a decision. Like you say, well, what would you like for supper? What would you like? Or that's a common one. He calls him at work, what do you want for supper? And he'll say, oh, whatever you want, you decide, it doesn't matter. It's like, he says, you know what I want? I want to know what you want. Don't just say, be a man. I want to know what you want. I think when a man makes a decision, it shows that he cares. Or I think it's manly when a man makes a decision. I respect the man. Oh, well, okay. Then I'll
Yeah,
make a decision. And
yeah.
that's really
Let me
the
jump on that.
strategies that we talk about in the book.
Okay, we got a question. Let me see. Let me change this layout real quick and show questions for you. Ask. Why do men not understand how easy it is just to make us feel valuable?
Oh, that's a great question. I think, well, everybody wants to feel valued and appreciated. Uh, you know, I think it comes back to what I was saying is like we hear all these messages that if we open the car door, if we pay for a date, we're being sexist. It's just the messages that men aren't learning what they used to learn in the past. I think in our fathers, our grandfathers' generation, men were taught this. They watched their fathers, they watched other men, how they treated women, and they copied them because that's really how men learn. They watch other men. I remember being a young man and watching other men and saying, okay, is this how you deal with this kind of situation? Is this how you deal with it? And really, men have lost that. So it's sad, but yeah, I mean, we need to teach men these things.
Got that, Ash? Okay, anyone else have a question? You can just type your question into the chat room and I'll place it across the screen for Elliot. If you're really brave and you want to call in, then here is the link. You just click that and ask your question right on the recording. Okay, so either way it works out. What if the guy steps up and he takes charge, but he makes he does something that ends up being a poor decision? It may cause some problem, you know, like a financial hit, something that ultimately dings the marriage or some trust or something. I don't know. I'm just coming up with something off the top of my head. But, if someone's not really, there is that component. If someone's not used to making decisions and being a leader, they're probably not going to be that good at it at first. That's my point.
Right, right,
So
right,
they may make some real bumbling kind of mistakes that cause problems. What's the best way for the woman to approach that kind of thing? Because she doesn't want to like jump on him. She wants to,
right.
inspire, he continue to motivate him to do that. But there's something his thinking on this issue wasn't that great. So how do we handle that?
Well, it's a great question, because often one of the reasons men withdraw from making decisions and taking the lead is they were criticized or they felt undermined in the past. So the main thing is be helpful. Give criticism. Don't give criticism. Give feedback in a way that shows you want to help them, that you care about them. If you made a mistake, well, express it in a way that shows that you care and you want to be helpful. It's the same thing if he makes a decision that he wants to do something. You're encouraging him to make decisions and take the lead, but then he wants to do something that you think is wrong. And like the example I give in my book is similar to what you discussed. Like a man, is in charge of investing their retirement savings, and he wants to invest a whole bunch of money in something that she feels is too high risk. Like she sees, well, the idea is if it's too good to be true, it probably is. So, you don't want to cut him down. You don't want to like attack him that he's not willing to budge and feels defensive. You want to say, I think you've been doing a great job, but I think this particular investment may be too risky. And if we could make a lot, but we could also lose a lot, and that would cause financial stress. And I've seen how financial stress can damage relationships, and that it can bring up problems that wouldn't have otherwise have come out. So I think we should invest some in a riskier investment, but the rest in a less risky investment. And I think that follows the smart way you've been handling our investments. So he feels positive. Like give him positive reinforcements. Like you know, make him feel good and say, yeah, yeah, okay, that sounds reasonable. But if you attack him and criticize him, you know, men want to make their wives happy or women happy, and when you attack him and he feels like, okay, I made a mistake, but I thought I was doing the right thing. It's really undermining. It makes him feel like he doesn't really want to, take the lead anymore.
Gotcha.
It's,
Okay, you got a question in from Tori. Hey, Tori, your mic's hot, so what you got to say?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
We hear you
yes, I
fine.
can.
Hello, I love you, Deborah. and
Well, thank you.
I love you too, Ellie. I have a question. So mine's is basically um like you were speaking about with speaking to men. In the dating scene, I don't know if it's my own ego or something like that, but usually I'm nice, right? But after I feel disrespected, like if the person comes at me crazy, I get very like, if I say anything, I'll get like a really bad attitude problem. So, what are some different ways to communicating when it comes to dating where it's like, for me, I could leave this relationship at any time. I could leave this at any time. So if you disrespect me, then I'm going to disrespect you because I think everything about me is cool except for my mouth. Where I will go I will go off. I will definitely go off. Let's say one example would be just eat like an hour ago, someone called me. Let's say I had a little mental adversary and they say, hey, I'm going to call you back. And they didn't call me back. And so I'll get very sarcastic and the whole conversation will be about how you didn't do what you say you're going to do. And then I could tell that the man is giving up, but I'm actually irritated because you didn't keep your word. So
All right.
well, as a black woman, I'm trying to figure out that line between being nice, standing up for yourself, not being a pushover, but also effectively communicating, managing that anger when I do feel disrespected because I get really angry. Like
That
if I
anger
feel
just basically
disrespected,
is
I'll
hurt.
start stabbing. I'm a Gemini.
You're hurt. Your feelings are hurt. And you're making,
Yeah.
it's coming across as anger because that seems to be safer. But I'm going to pass that baton to Elliot as far as what he thinks is, better language to use to check somebody in a situation like that. Thanks, Tori.
Thank you.
Okay, well, Tori, that's a great question. And I think, it depends on how often that happens. So if it happens once, like he says he's going to call you back at a certain time and he doesn't, there may be a good reason that he didn't call you back, and maybe give him the benefit of the doubt and call him and say, are you okay? Because I was expecting you to call. And then that will sort of put him like, oh, she's not yelling at me. She actually is concerned about me. And men like when a woman shows that they care about them. So that might be a way to say, "Are you okay? Because I thought you were going to call me this time." And and the other thing is, men may have been in controlling relationships, and they don't want to feel they're being controlled. So I mean, if he said, "I'll call you back in an hour," he should. But if you told him, call me back in an hour, he says, "Hey, I don't want to feel controlled." So you just have to say to him, I don't want to control you. This isn't a good time to talk. You just tell me, and we'll talk another time. I think the men are, you, they just they don't seem to understand how important it is. If you say you're going to call an hour to call, it's like showing that you care about the woman.
Right.
But maybe there are ways. I mean, if you care about the guy, if you don't like him,
Yeah.
just forget about it. But to say, hey, you okay? Like, you know,
Okay.
instead of attacking him, that might get a better response.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
just
Tori, you could
wondering.
also, one thing when you guys first start talking, you know, I think more women need to communicate their expectations, when they're calm. You guys are talking about what kind of relationship you're going to have. Just let them know it's very important to me that you be a man of your word. That's like a foundational value that I have. And with you show me that you're not dependable for little things, it makes it really hard for me to depend on you with something big like my heart.
Aw.
You know what I mean? I would, I'm taking a lesson. I'm learning, Elliot.
I'm trying to learn that level of gentleness. I really just don't have it. And I don't. I get really choppy. I don't care who it is. I will
Yeah, but Tori,
definitely.
we gonna have to talk. We gonna have to talk off the air. I could hear that fury in your voice.
Yeah, I get mad. Okay, I love you guys though.
Okay,
I love
okay,
you. I love you guys.
okay. But thank you. The little Korean heart. Thank you. Oh my God, she is funny. Here's another question, Elliot, from Cindy. She would like to know, in what ways do women undermine men when making decisions?
Well, that's a great question. That's a great question. Well, a lot of times, see, I tell men sometimes a woman will like he'll try to make a decision, and he'll feel undermined because the woman will like go totally against him, or just not cooperate, and he just feels, well, I tried to make a decision. And he feels undermined. So I think, when he makes a decision, and he says, well, let's handle this way. Think about it. Like if there's something really dangerous or damaging that he's recommending, then tell him. Like, there are things that he didn't think of. If he's
Right,
being rash, tell him in a positive way that shows you want to help him, and you want to help him make a better decision, and you want to help, to have the best possible outcome. But if he feels being criticized, like nobody likes to be criticized. Everybody wants to feel their contribution is valued. If he's criticized, or you're just going against him. See, sometimes women will test men, like they'll go against his decision just to see if he really is, strong enough to stand up and say, no, I think this is the right way. So a man has to decide that, but just help him. If you disagree with the decision, say it in a helpful way that he feels, oh, this is my partner, because that's really what the man wants from a wife. He
right.
wants a partner who's going to say, okay, you do want to do this, but I think a way to do it even better, we could do this or that. Oh wow, that's a partner. That's the woman I want.
I like that. Do you guys have any more questions, ladies? I'm looking in here. It's not I used to have to do that. Um, and you're right. When you do care about the man, you choose your words carefully because the goal is not to destroy him or damage the relationship. But you can see that he's not thinking clearly. He's not considering all the possible ramifications, the pros and cons, ins and outs, the way that women tend to. We look at minutia and look at the impact there all the way down to the bottom. And men tend to be more big picture people. They say, oh, yeah, this is gonna grow, yeah, this is gonna be. But then the woman's like, okay, well, what's gonna have to happen for that to happen? What changes are gonna be made and who's gonna be impacted by it and how much is gonna cost and how much time we're gonna have to spend and who's gonna be doing all this. We think about that kind of stuff. And they just say, yeah, we're gonna do this. This is gonna be great. And so it's kind of interesting how you have to present it in a way that gets them to slow down and think about, the possible impact on everyone in the household, not just the glory that can be gained. What are we going to have to give up to make this happen? So I had to go through that a lot. But again, I had an example because I used to watch my mom, how she kind of managed my dad. And, she don't never attack him or call him names and all that kind of stuff. But she definitely, would kind of say, well, hold up, homeboy. Here's another question. Why do some men treat their female friends with more regard than their girlfriends? Oh, that's interesting.
Well, my female friends are better than their girlfriend. Well, that's a good question.
Isn't it? I'm like, well, who does that and gets away with it?
It's an interesting question because I think one thing that I experience and a lot of men experience, they'll say, I get along with everybody except my wife. Like why? Everybody I work with thinks highly of me. My friends think highly of me. My wife treats me so badly, and I think, I think this is the reverse situation that, he treats his female friends, but his wife, and I think there's a good reason for it because really, a relationship between a man and woman is so intense that you know more about that person and you know their faults and more better than your friends. Your friends sort of know you, somewhat more superficially, and your colleagues, they might all think well of you, but it's a woman, the man and woman who are together, living together in the same house in the same bed. It's intense trying to make decisions, trying to raise family, trying to. I remember one woman saying to me, you may think my husband's a good guy, but you don't know him like I do. It's true. It's true. Your spouse knows you better than anyone.
Right.
So maybe that's why they sort of like, there's that feeling of, well, my friends, they treat me better. I treat my friends better because I know this person so well. I know all their faults. I don't know my friends' faults as well. I think that's why, but it shouldn't happen, right? I mean, it's a great question because, you know, you should be treating your girlfriend or your spouse better than anyone, and your friends are secondary. Like I read someone saying, use your company manners for your family, and treat strangers. You don't have to treat strangers, but treat your partner and your family, treat them the best,
Oh,
and
that's a good idea. Yeah,
you
that makes so much sense.
people treat strangers and guests in their home better than they treat their own family and their spouse. You should do the reverse.
Well, Elliot, I want to give you because I could keep you here all day, but I do want to give you an opportunity to kind of sum things up and tell everyone where they can find out more information about you and get your book and things like that.
Okay, well, the new book is called "How to Get Your Man to Wear the Pants," so you don't have to. And it's really the goal is, like I said earlier, to share strategies on what men need to hear to really wear the pants, take the lead, make more decisions, and just stop leaving all those responsibilities to the woman. And I said it earlier, it's really a result of feedback I got from my first book, Being the Strong Man a Woman Wants, Timeless Wisdom on Being a Man. And my goal, as Deb knows, is really to help bring peace between men and women because there's too much divorce and too many children from broken homes. And that's really my goal. And I think, the goal to make peace between a man and a woman is really, it's really important because you see the impact, you see the impact in our society. So that's really my goal. And both the books are available on Amazon. Uh, and you can get it there. And if you want to contact me, I'm happy to hear from you. Any questions, any feedback. If you agree or disagree with what I said, I'm happy to hear from you. So go to my website. It's www.elliottKatz.com, and it's ELLIOTT. There's two T's, KATZ.com. Go there. I'm happy to hear from anyone. I also do coaching if you're interested, but really my goal is like to just bring peace because it's really a family, a marriage, a good marriage is really a foundation of our society, and I think everything good flows from that, and really a lot of problems flow from when there's divorce and children without from broken homes. So that's my
I
goal,
agree.
Deb, and I think it's your goal too, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. But I kind of start in the front before they even get married with helping them pick the right guy. Because
Oh,
to me,
absolutely.
that decision is the biggest decision in a woman's life. Because you pick the wrong dude, it's gonna rest the rest of your life is gonna be just awful. The
Yeah.
right guy can have you smiling every day, happy to be alive, and then this life here that we're talking about becomes, I mean, it might be a little challenge, but it's something that you want to work out because you picked the right fella. So
Right.
that's yeah, right. So we're on the same page. It's just I'm in a little earlier in the book.
Okay. Okay.
But it's good to see you again, Elliot. I'm
Yeah, it's
sure
good
we'll
to
be
see.
back together next year. Our
Okay.
annual touch base.
Okay. Looking forward to it.
Okay, talk to you later.
Take care.
He's so great. That's Elliott Katz. Those of you may remember him um, from Debruary, the last two Debruaries, as a matter of fact. And I think he came. We did something called May Days, and I had him in. Then I interviewed him a couple of times on Blog Talk. So yeah, this is probably like my sixth time with him, and I always enjoy it. We always have a good conversation. So ladies, we're winding down to the final days of February. We got 3 uploads in a row for the next couple of days, so Shay and I get a little bit of a break. You can go into the chat, the premier chats, and talk amongst yourself if you like. And then on the 27th, we have our last guest live stream. Vicki McGrath is going to come in, and we're going to talk about how you need to trust your gut. Stop second guessing yourself and doubting yourself, and pay attention to that little female voice, that female intuition that's warning you, telling you something, trying to direct you, that so many of you poo poo and, oh, I shouldn't feel like that. I shouldn't think like that. So she's going to give you some tips for how you can start, really tuning into that, and, respecting it, listening to it. Okay. Also, if you are not a subscriber to this channel, please hit that subscription button, like and share any video on the channel. It doesn't have to be this one. We always appreciate you taking a moment to click a video, one of your favorites, and share it around on your social media pages or amongst your family or friends. So you guys take care. I'll see you in a couple of days on the live stream, on the next live stream. Okay. Talk to you later. Bye bye.